Statistics. First, let's start from diagrammatical representation of data. First one is bar charts. In bar charts, we can see clearly that there is a gap between bars. The end points of the bars are not joined together. So, there is a gap in the bars. Now, how do we read the bar charts? Let's have a look. Question says Manpreet and Jack recorded how many TV programs they watched each day for a week. Results are shown in the table. These are the results here, right? Okay. We have to draw a dual bar chart. Dual bar chart means that two bars are drawn separately. The key is there. The pink bar is for Manpreet and the white bar is for Jack. So the data is shown separately for Jack and the data is shown separately for Manpreet. Both of them are plotted separately on the bar chart. Separately means with separate bars. Then we can have a composite bar chart. Composite bar chart means that you show the data on the same bar, but you have to differentiate using different colors. Again, pink is for Manpreet and white is for Jack. So how do we draw the composite bar chart? Let's have a look. Manpreet has watched here only one on Monday, has watched one, and Jack has watched two, right? So Manpreet programs watched. This is for a different bar chart. Sorry, this is for a different bar chart. Manpreet has watched three. Here it's three, and Jack has watched two. So 1 and 2 means 5 in total. You have to differentiate here. This is 2 units. This is 3 units. Let's have a look at Tuesday. 1 1 for both. 1 1. Wednesday 4 and 1. Manpreet 4 and 1. Right? This is how you draw a composite bar chart. How many types of bars? Bar charts? 2. Dual bar chart and composite bar chart. Alright. Now let's move ahead. A group of children and adults were asked to rate a music magazine on a scale of 1 to 5. This dual bar chart shows the results. How many children gave magazine a score of 1? How many children? You have to just look at children. Children is pink. 2 children gave the magazine a score of 1. How many adults rated the magazine? Means overall how many adults. You will add all the adults. 10, 12, 22, 22 plus 5, 27 and 27 plus 2, 29. 29 adults rated the magazine. Next part is how many which score did no children give? Score 2, because we don't have any bar of children for score 2. Score 2. Which score was given by twice as many children as adults? It is this one. This is 5 and this is 10. Score 3. Make one comment about the scores given by adults compared to those given by children. So a comment can be, then you don't get such a question, but let's make a comment. The comment can be that the children rated the score magazine better than the adults, because adults have mostly given either 1 or 2, and then the score differed and nobody has given them a score of 5, which means very good score. However, children have not rated the magazine bad and they have mostly rated the magazine good. Let's have a look at another question where we have a composite bar chart. Now, These are number of members in a gym. How many members are in the age range 26 till 35? So this is 12. How many members does the gym have in total? Means all the members. All the members is 24 plus 9 is 33. 33 plus 6 is 39. What is the modal range? Modal range means most occurring or the class with the highest frequency. So there are two classes with the highest frequencies, which is 12. So these two are the modal classes. What is the modal age range? Obviously these two are the modal classes, so these are the age ranges. Which age range has the greatest difference in number of men and women? This one. Only one woman and 5 men. Next we have pie charts. Jake asked everyone in the class to name their favorite color. The frequency table on the right shows his results. These are the results. First, let's see what is the total number of people. 12 plus 7 is 19. 19 plus 5 is 24. 24 plus 6 is 30. Total frequency is 30. Draw a pie chart. For pie chart, we need angles. How do we find out the angles? For angles, red. What do? We do frequency upon total frequency into 360. So frequency for this class is 12, total frequency is 30 and 360. 30 and 360, when we cancel both of them, we get 12. So the angle for red is 144. This is the angle that we will use. For green, we have frequency 7 upon 30 into 360. This is 12. 7 12s are 84. Then blue, 5 upon 30 into 360. This is 60. And then we have pink. Pink is 6 upon 30 into 360. This is 72. Now let's add all of them. Do they add up to 360 or not? If they don't, means you have done something wrong. 144 plus 84 is 228. 228 plus 60 is 288. Plus 72 is 360. So we have taken out all the angles correctly. Now how do we draw the pie chart? We draw the pie chart by obviously first drawing a circle with a compass, and we know what is the center. Now at the center you draw one line first. Let's say this is the reference line here. This is the reference line that you draw. Now with the help of a protector here, you will draw an angle of 144 degrees, which will be somewhere over here. So this is 144. Then we have 84. You put the D over here second time, and then you draw the angle 84, which will be something like this. Then you use this third one as the reference line here, and you put the protector here, and you draw a 60-degree angle, which will be something like this, or maybe this, right? So this is how you are going to draw the angles, and you will draw all the angles using a protector. 84, 60, and the last one, when you measure it, it will turn out to be 72, because you are going to draw it using a protector. There can be a reverse scenario where you have the angles and you need to calculate the number of people or number of anything regarding which the question is framed. The head teacher carries out a survey to find out how pupils travel to school. The teacher is trying to find out how many pupils travel by car, cycle, bus, and who comes on foot. What is the most popular way to travel? Most popular way is the one with the highest angle or the greatest angle. So that is walking. Which method of transport is twice as common as cycling? Car. Twice as common means this is 45, this is 90. So this is traveling by car. Last part says 280 pupils said they walk to school. How many pupils took part in the survey? We have the angle. We will use the same formula that we used here for angles. Okay, so angle is equals to frequency upon total into 360. Angle we know is 140. Frequency we know is 280. Total we don't know, into 360. Cross multiply. This is total is equals to 280 upon 140 into 360. 0 0 cancel, 14 twos are. Total is 720. 360 multiplied by 2 is 720. 720 pupils took part in the survey. Next method is not diagrammatical representation, but it does organize the data in a certain way. That is called stem and leaf diagram. First, we have to find out the lowest score from this one. Which one is the lowest score? This is 52. This is the lowest score, and the highest score is 81, right? Okay, so we know that the minimum score is 52 and maximum score is 81. Here we can find out range, but before that we will draw a stem and leaf diagram. How do we draw a stem and leaf diagram? The tens digit will come here, 5, 6, 7, 8, and the units digits will come here on the right hand side when we are drawing a single stem and leaf diagram. There will be a combined stem and leaf diagram as well. That's why I'm saying single stem and leaf diagram. Okay, so let's say first number is 56. I'm going to cancel them out so that I know what I have done. The units digit goes here, 56. Then we have 52, 2. Then we have 82. Then we have 65. This way, this data is not arranged and organized right now. We will arrange it later on, but right now the type of data we are writing is so that we don't miss out anything. Okay, 65. Then we have 76, 82, 57, 63, 69, 73, 58, 81, 73, 52, 73, 71, 67, 59 and 63. All the data is done. Now let's arrange this data. Okay, how do we arrange it? 2, 2, 6, 7, 8 and 9. Okay, 6, 7, 8 and 9. Now you erase this, bring this down. Alright, now for 6 we have 3, 3, 5, 7, 9. Bring this down. Next, 1, 3, 3, 3, 6. This way your data will be arranged completely. And then we have 1, 2, 2. This is the stem and leaf diagram. Now for the stem and leaf diagram, you can find a few things. Number one is minimum, second one is maximum. Then we have range. Range is highest minus lowest value. Highest value 81, lowest value 52. Answer is 29. Range is 29. Then you have to find out the median. Median means let's have a look at the data. How many data points do we have? Median is basically something which is physically in between. Okay, how many data points do we have? Let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Okay, so 19 means when you cancel 9 of them from here, let's cancel one from here, one in the stem and leaf diagram. 19 means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cancelled, 7, 8, 9 cancelled, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. These numbers are all cancelled. What remains in between? 7, 67. So the median is 67. This is in between. Okay, this is in between. So this will be 67. Median is 67. Then we have to find out interquartile range, which is Q3 minus Q1. Interquartile range means the data is divided into 4 parts. First quartile or Q1 is 25% of the data. You can look at it like this: 52, 52, 56, 57, 58, 59, and then all the other numbers before 7. I want to write it somewhere where I can show you something very clearly, like 63, 63 and 65. Now whatever is middle of this data is Q1, right? Means the data before median, whatever is in the middle of that data is Q1. So let's see. One from here, 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 then one from here, and then one from here. The middle of this data is 58, right? Let's see if we get 58 here as well. 4 values cancel from here, 4 values cancel from here. 58 is Q1 in this one. What is Q3? Q3 is the middle of the data after the median, right? So 4 values cut from here and 4 values cut from here. Answer is 73. So our Q3 is 73. 73 minus 58 will be 515. This is the interquartile range that we are looking for. This is how we find out the interquartile range from the stem and leaf diagram. Then we have amount of rainfall in over. This question you can attempt, but let me tell you how do we Draw the stem and leaf diagram for something which is in decimal. The number before decimal comes on the left and the number after decimal comes on the right. So the smallest number here is 0.0, minimum is 0.0 and maximum is 4.1. Maximum is 4.1. So we will write 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. 0.0 is 0 and 0.1. Then we have 0.3. We have two 0.0s. 0, 0, then 0.1, 0.3. We have three 0.0. I am arranging the data simultaneously. That's why I have to adjust it. So we have 5 values. Let's see if we have been able to cancel 5 values in the table also. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes. Now let's switch to 1. We have 1.1. Then we have 1.3 and then we have 1.6. Coming to 2, we have 2.0. We have 2.5. 0.6. Then we have 2.7. That's it for 2. Then we have 3.1, 3.6 and 3.8. And then we have 4.1. Let's see if all the values have been actually used. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 16. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Okay, correct. Okay, so this is the stem and leaf diagram. Now we talk about combined stem and leaf diagram. You will draw a thick stem in between. This is set 2 and this is set 1. It begins with 1 and goes up to 4. 2, 3, 4. Let's look at set 2. 13, 13, 18, 19, 18, 19 and 15. 15. Then we have 22, 22, 22, 22, 23, 25, 27 and 32. We don't have anything for 4 here and that is okay. Now let's look at it. 12, 18. The order will go in this way. Here smallest and then it will move towards largest. This is 12 and this is 18. Okay. Then we have 24, 28 and 29. 24, 28, 29. 33, 37, 32, 33, 37, 38 and then 41, 48. This is combined stem and leaf diagram. Moving forward, box and whiskers plot. This is another representation of data. How do we make box and whiskers plot? This is the lowest value, the whisker. Whiskers are these lines. This is the lowest value, this is the highest value. When you make the box, this is lower quartile or Q1. This ending part of the box is upper quartile or Q3, and the middle line is the median or middle of the data or 50% of the data. How do we draw it? Let's have a look. Box and plot below shows a distribution of time it took to answer the calls. The data shows time taken to answer calls in 1 week were greater but more consistent. Do you agree? More consistent. More consistent means the spread is less. More consistent means the calls have been answered in less time. So in week 1, it took them at least 20 seconds to answer the call, but in week 2 it took them minimum 10 seconds to answer the call. Maximum time that they took to answer the call in week 2 was 90 seconds, whereas for week 1 was 100 seconds. Mean time, median time, or in between is 48 or 49, whereas this is about 60. It means we don't agree the timings were more consistent in week 2 because there is less spread. There is small interquartile range. If interquartile range is small, means the spread is less, and this is the median time. This is the most time during which calls have been answered. This is the most time in week 1 in which the calls have been answered. It means that it's not consistent. Consistency is in week 2. Now let's read this, and in this one also we have to find out interquartile range or IQR, upper quartile, lower quartile, median and stuff. Okay, first let's have a look at the lowest value. Lowest value for this one is 26. 20, no sorry, this is quartile 1. Quartile 1 is 26. Q1 is 26. Lowest value is 13. Lowest value is 13. Highest value is 83. Third quartile is 67. Q3 or upper quartile. This is also called upper quartile. This is the lower quartile. What is the median? Median is 48. Okay, let's read the other one. Lowest value 4. Highest value 28. Upper quartile 16. Lower quartile 7. Median 10. And interquartile range for this one will be 67 minus 26, which is 41. Interquartile range for this one, second one will be 28 minus 16 minus 7, which is 9. This is how you read and draw box and whisker plots. Next one is cumulative frequency distribution. Cumulative frequency means added frequency. Cumulative frequency will always be, cumulative frequency curve will look something like this. Why something like this? Because cumulative frequency is always increasing as previous frequencies are added to form cumulative frequency. Okay, for example, this one. First thing you need to know, cumulative frequency is always for grouped data. Grouped data means you have class interval which looks like this. class interval. Okay, Ci class interval. This is the upper, this is the lower class boundary, this is the upper class boundary. Why is it called a boundary? It's called a boundary because the ending of first class and beginning of second class are the same. If we try to draw a histogram using this data, then it will create a boundary wall. Boundary means ending of first class and beginning of the second class. This forms a boundary. There will be cases where there are no boundaries, but that will be for mean, median and mode. For cumulative frequency, you will always have boundary. Secondly, you will notice that class intervals or class widths for all of the classes are the same. Means the difference between the lower class boundary and upper class boundary is the same. 150 minus 140 is 10, 160 minus 150 is 10, and so on till 200 minus 190 is the same, which is 10. So these are the points to remember. You will be using the same concepts and points when we will calculate mean, median and mode for grouped data. Alright, so this is group data, and the data for cumulative frequency will always be given like this. The point is, when you draw this kind of a curve, where do you draw the point which coincides with the data? Whether you draw it for the beginning of the class or you draw it for the ending of the class, it's always on the end of the class point. For example, let's have a look. First class 140 till 150 is 7 is here. 7 is here. This is 7. Okay, then we have 17. At 160 I will draw 17, which is here. Then I will draw 32, 51. Okay, where is 32? 32 is here. 51 is here. 57 is here. And 60 is here. The total is 60. Always draw this curve free-handedly. Never try to use a scale for this curve. This should pass all the points that I have drawn. See, it looks like this because the frequency keeps increasing. Now there are certain points that you will have to calculate from here. For example, they have asked you to calculate the median height. Median height means you will have to look at frequency 30 because total frequency is 60 sigma f. Sigma means sum or total. So sigma f upon 2. 60 upon 2 is 30. Let's have a look at frequency 30, which is here. And you drop a line down to see what is the median height, which is 169. Median height here is 169. Suppose they ask you for interquartile range, then what do? For first quartile, which is 25% of the data, 25% of 65 is 15, of 60 is 15. So you draw one line at 15 and you see the corresponding height of tomato plants, which is 158.5. And then you find out Q3. Q3 is 75% of the data, which is 3 upon 4. So 15 threes are 45. You look at 45, you draw a line here at 45 and see the corresponding height. Which corresponding height? Which is plotted here on the x-axis. Okay, this is the corresponding height. So this height is almost 176.5. 176.5. So here interquartile range, if they ask you for it, will be 176.5 minus 158.5, whatever is the answer. Alright, okay. Now you need to learn how do you prepare a frequency table using cumulative frequency. First cumulative frequency and normal frequency is the same. Second one, you subtract the second cumulative frequency, the first cumulative frequency from the second. 17 minus 7 is 10. Then 32 minus 17 is 32 minus 17 will be 15. 51 minus 32 will be 19. 57 minus 51 will be 6, and this will be 3. Let's see if the total adds up to 60, because the last cumulative frequency gives you the total number of people or total frequency. Let's add. 7 plus 3 is 10. 10 plus 10 is 20. 20 plus 19 is 39. 39 plus 6 is 45. 45 plus 15 is 60. This is correct. Now, for these type of class intervals, we can draw a simple histogram. These are same class widths, so we will draw a histogram using frequency, not cumulative frequency, frequency. I have already drawn the histogram, and we can see I have used frequency on the y-axis, and the bars are of different heights. They are not constantly increasing. We can see that they are increasing and decreasing as well. If we mark the middles of these lines here, and we join all of them, middle and middle here, and we join all of them, this becomes a frequency polygon. Frequency polygon is just the bars joined like this, but the bars are not visible. It's just a polygon. If you just remove the bars from here and just keep this polygon here, then that is the frequency polygon. Right? Now, for example, if yeah, that is it for the histogram. But remember that this is the histogram for the same class width. Histogram for a different class width is different. It's not the same. Okay, all right. Now another question for cumulative frequency. Find the number of people. Median you can calculate on your own. I will do the second one. Find the number of people who took longer than 80 seconds to complete the challenge. 80 seconds is plotted on the x-axis, so we will draw a line at 80, from 80, and we will see where it touches the curve. Wherever it touches the curve, from there we are going to drop a line on the y-axis and see where does it coincides here on 68. 68 people is the number of people who took 80 seconds, but they are asking how many people took longer than 80 seconds, right? 68 people took 80 seconds, people less than 68 took less than 80 seconds, and people more than 68 till total frequency took longer than 80 seconds, which is 12 people. Okay, 12 people. Longer than means the area covered after 68. Less than means the area covered below this frequency. Okay, if I shade this area has all the time which is between 0 and 80, and the area after 80 where we have this frequency is everybody who has taken more than 80. Alright, so this is how we are going to use all these cumulative frequency tables and stuff. Okay, now this is a combined question for cumulative frequency and all. So this one you have to draw two cumulative frequency tables on one single graph. Can you identify if this is a cumulative frequency table or a simple frequency table? It's definitely a simple frequency table. Why? Because for cumulative frequencies they consistently keep increasing, but here we can see that they are not consistently increasing, but there is a difference. Sometimes it's increasing, sometimes it's decreasing. So before drawing a cumulative frequency table, before drawing a cumulative frequency curve, we will draw a cumulative frequency table. So for Sean we have 0, 5, 29 plus 5 is 34, 34 plus 15 is 49, 49 plus 3 is 52. For Maria, we have 4, 17 plus 4, 21, 21 plus 21 is 42, 42 plus 10 is 52, and this is again 52. Okay, now estimate the median and interquartile range. Sean's lowest weekly salary was this and highest was this. Maria's lowest was this and this. Draw a box and whiskers plot. This question has everything in combination. But the question here is, how do we draw two cumulative frequency curves on one graph? Let me demonstrate it here. Okay, class intervals will be the same, as we can see here that the class intervals are same. Okay, for both. So, and the cumulative frequencies will differ. So let's say this graph is for Sean, suppose. Okay, this is suppose because this is a totally different question, and the graph that we draw for Maria might look something like this. Something like this. Or something like this. Can be anything. Okay, so you can draw two graphs on the same graph, two curves on the same graph. Next one we have scatter graph, and for scatter graph we will look at the correlation. Correlation means how closely the points are to each other, right? This one we can see all of them. This one is close, this one is close, this one is more close, both these are closer, and this is random, there is no pattern. This is a positive correlation, this is a negative correlation. How do we identify positive and negative? If we pass a line from here, it will be closer to most of the points, right? And even if it's not closer to most of the points, this is strong positive, strong when it's closer to most of the points, and this is a line with a positive slope. This is strong negative, means closer to most of the points and line with the negative slope. This is no pattern, means no correlation. Even if you pass a line, a lot of points are far apart and the line does not have any points which are close to the line. Also, it does not show this or this kind of a pattern. So there is no correlation. You have to identify correlation by looking at it. Like if you see that these are close together, means close, means strong correlation. If they are slightly far apart, then moderate correlation, and more far apart but still there is a pattern, then means weak correlation. For example, this one, this is strong positive because most of the points are close. This is moderate negative because the points are not lying on the line, and this is weak positive, right? This is weak and positive. Next, use the results in the table to plot a scatter graph. Heights are given here and shoe sizes are given, right? You will use this 165 6, 165 is here and this is 6. Then we have 159 5, 59 5, 173 is 8, 73 8. Okay, so far and so forth. You will draw all of them, and you will pass a line from it, and then you will show whether there is an evidence of correlation. You will explain your answer by saying there's a strong positive or weak positive or any kind of correlation, or maybe there is no correlation because all the points are scattered and a line cannot be passed through it. Okay, and this one, draw a line of best fit. This is the line of best fit. Okay, and Jimmy was ill on day of the maths test. If he scored 75 in his test, predict what his marks would have been. 75 if you English test, maths test, if he scored 75 in English, so you will see here 75 in English, and then you will predict that it could be 60 in maths. Elena was ill on the day of English test. If she scored 35 on a maths test, then what will it be? It will be around 55, right? This is how you use these graphs. Describe the strength and type of correlation. It's the positive and strong positive correlation. Point A does not fit the correlation pattern. Suggest a reason for this. This is an outlier, a distorted data. This tree is excessively high in height as compared to this tree is excessively high in height as compared to other trees of the same width of trunk. Use the graph to predict the width of a tree's trunk if it's 13 meters tall. You draw a line at 13, which is here, and then you predict the width by dropping a line below, which is about 62, right? A tree has grown into power lines, meaning that measuring its height would be dangerous. If the trunk is 100 centimeter wide, predict the height. 100 centimeter wide is here. Then you will predict the height, which is about 20 meters, right? This is how you are going to use the graphs and use all the kinds of data representation.